How many deals have you done?
What's the sales volume?
So the first year I did 26 million.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Property Hustlers Show, where we talk about all things real estate right here in Canada. Today, Ping and I are joined by Daniel Hale, who is a realtor, a real estate investor, as well as a TikTok superstar. And we're going to be talking about his experiences in the real estate market. Daniel, it's really great to have you on the show.
Thanks, guys. Good to be here for sure.
Now, I know we're going to be talking a lot about your experiences as an investor and a realtor, but honestly, I've been seeing your TikTok videos and they are hilarious. Tell me a little bit about that. How long did it take you to get there? How did you decide how to do that?
Yeah, so I started 2020 in March.
Very recent.
2 years. Did it because I was doing a lot of acting. When the whole shutdowns happened in 2020, that's when I was like, okay, acting is on pause. Things are on pause. The truth about acting is you're constantly doing auditions. So you feel like there's always somebody that's deciding your future, whether you're getting the part or not. And I realized if I can build a following, I'm more in control. That's how I actually felt about the business of it. I started listening to Gary Vee actually, and he kept saying, if you're not on TikTok, you're missing out. You should always try to be first. If you are first on the new platform, you're gonna win. Cool, let's do this. I downloaded it, I made a couple skits, and I posted it. And one of them hit right away. It was like 1.1 million views.
Wow, one of your first ones?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was laying in bed eating a bowl of cereal, and it was a joke of a girl texting me. You have to check it out, but it's pretty, it worked out well. It went viral, and I saw I was getting a lot of followers, quick, a couple thousand a day, which I thought was insane. I'm like, okay, we're shut down. Got a lot of time on my hands right now. I'm going to make TikTok videos and just have fun. And instead of being able to go to set to act, I can actually just create my own set at home and start making videos. So that's what I did.
So you kind of almost fell into a bit of a side hustle there where you kind of and during the shutdowns as well, that was a very opportune time.
I started getting emails of people asking me to do their brand ambassadoring stuff, and it was good timing. And I think honestly, at that time is when most businesses and majority of people shifted to social media and online. And businesses were like, I think if we're not doing this, we're going to fail, which in my opinion, the future is your business needs to be on social media. If people were bored, they were at home, they didn't know what to do with themselves. They were watching TikTok. They were on the new social media platforms.
Yeah.
And it just started going viral. And ever since then, now I get at least 1,000 followers a day, new people.
That is crazy.
And it's growing quick. And it's been a bit of a good problem for me, but a bad one because I did it for fun.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy doing it. I love content creating, but it makes me always think, should I just be doing a lot of this and go all in and push out my other side hustles? But I'm the type of person that if I love something, I like to do it. So I'm doing 3 or 4 things right now. So that's
a lot of love around the table.
Yeah.
Can we quickly talk about before, your journey before you got into the social media and real estate?
Yeah, I was a gym owner, traveling the world, training martial arts for 10 years. A really long time. I got my black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that's what I was doing. I was competing, I was training, I was running a full business, gym, everything. Even when the lockdowns happened, I didn't stay open, but I didn't close my doors. I didn't lock up and just shut down. We still tried to ride the wave. And a year went by. I'm paying $4,500 a month right now in rent for a year. I just wasted all that money. But I told myself I would give it 1 year. And if we can open back up, I will open the gym again. After that year, we're still in the same phase. I promised myself that's I'm gonna shut it down. I feel like if I just kept dragging it, one, I don't know how much money I would have spent. And then the other thing is there's no such thing as social distance martial arts. You need to grapple, you need to wrestle, you need to spar, you need to do these things. What I did with my money was invest in real estate. And I enjoyed that. I liked doing it. That's when I was like, we're shut down. What else can I do other than make TikToks? So I went to Humber College and got my real estate license.
Oh, that's when you signed up for the course.
That's when I signed up for the course.
What made you look into real estate though?
I kind of realized, truthfully, I loved martial arts, but I realized I started teaching martial arts to make money. I was more obsessed and intrigued by growing a business. I wanted to be really successful with a business. I thought to myself, I'm going to open a gym. I get 150 members, all paying $150 a month. It's a good paycheck, minus all your expenses and stuff like this. Things are going good. How can I make more than this? I love real estate. I love investing. And I also thought, because every time you buy a new investment, you potentially, now I know the seller pays the realtor, but if I was the realtor, I could be buying that investment and taking that 20 grand additional towards my investment or putting it in my pocket. This makes sense. So that's
Number just The number just makes sense.
Yeah, but I think
Everything.
a lot of people actually go through that thought process when they're considering real estate, right? And they start to, what's the simplest thing to internalize? And on top of that, real estate as a profession, when you look at it from the outside in, I think it looks like a very enjoyable profession.
for
People,
sure.
you see some realtors, nice dress clothes, they have nice cars, and then you think, I could do that, right?
And that's kind of where for me, I was like, okay, I got a big following in martial arts throughout the Ontario community. I have a good following on TikTok and social media. And I do think a big part of real estate is making friends and knowing people and having a community. And if you can do that, you should be able to at least, have a good year.
That's beautiful
So-
because you essentially capitalized on what you had existing, because even though you're very Googleable, like you have a great presence. If you search up Daniel Hale, and then you can find background on you as like some of your martial arts stuff, which you're actually very renowned. You know what's funny? I was talking to somebody and I mentioned Daniel Hale, and then somebody else said, "Oh yeah, is that the Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, right?"
Yeah,
and
me
then,
too. I had that experience too.
That's crazy.
in
And then when
Burlington.
somebody else says, "Oh yeah,
Oh, man.
that guy, yeah," don't mess with him. When
Yeah.
somebody else says that about
That's
you,
so-
it's
That's
true.
funny.
Right?
Yeah,
Right?
that's cool. It was a passion of mine since I was like 6. I think I had one of those moments where you watch the UFC and someone gets controlled really easily on the ground and beat up. And I went to a Taekwondo center and I was like teenager at that time. I was like 14 years old. You have an ego at that time. And there was an old man teaching the class. And I was like, this guy's like 60. There's no way. And he asked me to wrestle with him and he completely schooled me. And I was like, what does he know that I don't? And he's like, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I get it now. Okay. That's what I need to do. Because essentially it's the art of how to control somebody without hurting yourself, but controlling them. Ever since then, I was hooked.
That was how Daniel became humble.
That was how I became humble. And that's what martial arts does to you. It makes you humble,
So that's amazing. So you went from martial arts, you had the gym, and then you went into TikTok, and from there you also did real estate because, everything after that point, essentially built you up a following, and you had a social network, you had connections, you had relationships, and that now gave you the platform to go into your real estate journey.
That's why, literally right now, when you start developing that following, people are constantly DMing you and emailing you for different things. And it really makes my brain think, what do I really want to do? People are like, hey, can you teach me how to grow a following? Hey, how did you do this? Hey, real estate. Hey, martial arts. I've always just been like, if you love it, do it. Because if you don't love it, you're going to just have a miserable day every day. And if I'm not happy doing what I'm doing, I'm not doing it.
That's a good philosophy to live by because, and it's good when you're fortunate enough to be able to live by that. Right?
That
Yeah,
is
you
true.
created opportunity and choice for yourself.
This is true.
It's kind of interesting to see how you're processing all of that because usually people want to have multiple different options and you're the one that's in that position with multiple good options.
Yeah.
And now you're a little struggling with which one that you should really prioritize.
And social media too, a really big thing is niching down. So when you're trying to figure out what you want to do, you're like, okay, but then I'm veering off from my niche. Then I'm going into another one. Then I'm like, the audience is going to get really confused. All right, maybe I should just vlog and then do that, right? So
Yeah.
it's interesting, but it's the truth. I think a lot of creators struggle with that.
That's the thing. You have to be adaptive, and there's you have to take sometimes a step back and one step back in order for you to be able to take 2 steps forward sometimes. Right?
Yeah, so that's why I like to do the comedy part because I believe that as long as there's a hint of comedy in it, you can post whatever niche you want.
Yeah.
So now I'll do 5 videos family, 2 videos real estate. But there'll be some real estate comedy in there. Real estate agent by day and family man by night, but it's a relatable thing that I'm trying to build.
Can we quickly talk about your real estate journey? Because obviously for a lot of people who view you, there was a lot of things that you're doing, obviously a lot of success within a very short period of time. Let's quickly talk about sort of your portfolio first, and then we'll talk about what are the problems that you're facing.
You invest in real estate. So what type of properties do you like to invest in?
For me, it's always been buy and hold. The reason for this, I find, is because when you're flipping, you have to manage it. You have a lot of moving parts that if you're not there, it's essentially another job. I want to have investments. I do believe real estate's the best investment, biasly speaking. I do believe it is the best investment. I want to have investments that I can be hands off and not have to have it interrupt what my primary focus is. And I think that if you're doing a lot of buy and holds, you have property manager taking care of it. They're dealing with it. It's in their hands. Everything is good. And I don't have to do much. Now, I would do flips for sure if I wasn't the project manager, if I wasn't just an investor, But buy and hold, I find when I was 24, I house hacked. That's how I got my first house. Lived upstairs for multiple years, didn't pay the mortgage. Tenant was paying downstairs. I had a baby. And as soon as I had a baby, I was like, okay, it's getting a little loud upstairs. I kind of need the whole house. But for the first 3-4 years, I didn't pay anything as a gym owner and the content creator. You're trying to start all these businesses and grow them. You can't have a high expenses right now. And I think that's how I figured out how to do what I love. I didn't necessarily have to have a 9 to 5 job that I didn't like just to pay for those bills. I figured out how to save enough money to get a house to house hack to allow me to do what I love. I think buy and hold is my thing right now. In the future, I don't know if that'll change, but as long as I don't have to manage it, that's why I love, partnering and doing that stuff.
A lot of investors will end up being a landlord, but it sounds like you already know that you would not want to step into the daily operation.
Something was said by, you guys know I'm a big fan of Grant Cardone, on the Alex Hormozi interview that really sat with me. And Alex was surprised about this too. He asked Grant, he said, what do you think is the best thing for money, right? Like what to do. And his response was a good business. And everybody thought he was going to say real estate, investing. Of course, good. A good business that you can put the money back into the real estate to, keep going and just growing that good business. When you're in difficult times of real estate, that good business can still be there. The real estate will always come back. Everything goes up and down. That's something that sat with me for a while. So no matter what, I'm always thinking to myself, how can I continue doing real estate, but also have a good business on the side?
People think that when you're a real estate investor, that it is a certain type of job, or that not necessarily a job, but there is a certain type of work that you're doing on a daily basis. People have romanticized the idea of what it means to be an investor, right? And I was surprised because I met a developer. His day job was actually doing government rebates, as in he had his own business, but he was working a job where he was doing rebates. And you think to yourself, this guy's an investor, this guy's a developer, and he's doing rebates as well. But, he points at something else. He says, what do you think a developer does on a daily basis? I network, I meet people, and this is kind of what I do. The work is what puts bread on the table. Your investments is something that generates wealth over time. And then your business is what you do to make big money. And you can play your part. And if you're a good investor, you're hands off.
Yeah.
Right. And you can focus on your career or whatever it is you need to be. So there's various different paths that people can take.
And I went through a lot of emotional roller coasters, to say the least, to be honest. When I had that gym that had 150 members paying $150 a month, all of a sudden, when the lockdown happened, sure, I closed the doors and people weren't going to keep paying. They asked to put their membership on hold. And when you're used to making that money every month, disappears emotionally, you're like, it affects you, it's like you're on a high or something. I realized, I'm like, okay, I want to have multiple different things. So if one shuts off for a minute, I'm still good over here. If this one shuts off, I'm still good over here. I'm not going to go through too much roller coaster ride.
You can really see that entrepreneurial mindset in your answers, right? In the way that you approach things. You're not just looking at things as in these will always be the times that are good. When there's a fire under you and interest rates are rising, bills are increasing, income declines, you think about multiple ways to increase revenue streams and how to adapt to the situation. That, I think, really reflects on how you operate your line of work, even how you understand your own position. You're like, I don't want to get involved in all these types of work. I want to be an investor. I want to be hands off. Recognizing yourself, I think, is so important to being successful in whatever you're doing, so that you don't do things you're not good at.
And I think I talk to obviously a lot of real estate agents, and we talk all the time whenever there's a market shift or there's something happening about the market. And one thing that I love about real estate, and I think has helped my success in selling real estate, is listening to the market and not avoiding the market. When it is a seller's market, I'm focusing on listings. I'm focusing on that stuff. When it's a buyer's market, I'm going towards the buyers. I'm listening to this. I actually did do leasing before, but once I got my real estate license, I shifted to, let's just sell. But now, where we are right now, rent is so high right now. Leases are like flying off the shelf. So now, okay, I'm going to do some leases now too. I'm always trying to listen to the market. And I think that a lot of people in real estate that are agents don't listen to the market. And that's why they maybe can't sell as much, because the truth is, people are smart. And as a seller or buyer, if I lie to you, you will catch on to that. But if I start giving you the truth of like, maybe you shouldn't sell this at this moment, you should rent it because rent's extremely high, wait for the market to bounce back, then we'll sell. They're going to take that honest advice and say like, a realtor actually gave me honest advice.
Yeah, they know it's not in your favor.
Yeah, there are actually two things here. One is a lot of people think of a realtor, or being a realtor should be you become a salesman. I actually completely disagree with that. We're actually, being a real estate broker or a sales rep, we're actually a matchmaker, right? We're matching people who need something together. You understand that concept right away. And second thing is, you run a real estate sale as a business, not as a job, right? So you're pivoting, because the only thing that's going to be certain in business is uncertainties. You have no problem with dealing with the uncertainties. You just keep pivoting. I remember we had a really good time back in November, December 2021. We're just focused on the buyer. The market was shooting up. Come in January, we're like, okay, the next wave is going to be the sellers.
Yeah.
So we dive right in. And then March, we switch back. And then after that, we switch back to single family.
Yeah.
It's like a pendulum. You just got to swing with the market.
Yeah,
right?
we just keep being 2 months ahead of the market.
Yeah.
And the wave just kept pushing us.
Yeah, I think people know when you're lying to them. And I also never believed in a one-off real estate commission. Don't like it's great, okay, 15, 20 grand quick. My question after is always, is he going to use me again? Is he happy? I do think that once you have a good connection with your realtor and someone closes the deal and they're happy, they'll use you again and again and again, and they won't even think about the next agent. So I'd rather close 3-4 deals in the lifespan of one person, because I do think in business, a lot of my mindset is what's the lifespan for the customer? How much will they spend in customer? And we did that in the gym too. So the average span for a gym was $4,000. So I could sell a lifetime membership for $3,000. Sadly, they're probably not going to use the whole thing, but I still made more money than if they came for a year and left after that.
Those are just the stats on it, yeah.
Same thing with real estate. How many properties does an average investor normally buy? I don't want to be a one-off with that investor if I know he's going to buy 5, 6 in his year lifespan.
Yeah.
Because now you're talking about making $100,000 compared to $20,000.
That actually brings me to, so you have a good focus on what I think actually makes a very good realtor. You know, somebody who is focusing more on the relationship and more on the longevity of that relationship rather than the short-term gains of one sale or one commission. How long have you been a realtor now?
A year and a half.
A year and a half. How many deals have you done?
What's the sales volume?
So the first year I did 26 million.
Crazy.
Sales volume.
26 million. Okay.
26 million.
Roughly how many deals does that translate? Ballpark, just so that we can
I think it was like maybe 30 around there. The average was like 800 to a million.
How many sales do the majority of realtors do in a year?
26% of realtors actually don't make any deal, right? And I believe there was about like 25 to 24% of the realtors will only make anywhere between 1 to 5 deals. 50% of realtors who don't make over 5 deals is a problem, because 5 deals is still not enough for anybody to make a living. And I'm pretty sure if we dig into the data a little bit more, majority of people in that 1 to 5 are going to be around 1 or 2. And then I think there's going to be a 13% from 5 to the number just keep decreasing. So 30 deals puts you to the top 5% easily.
When you think about that, and we're listening to some of the things that you're saying, I do genuinely think that some of those values, some of your mindset, and the way you approach being a realtor is what actually leads to you being able to push 30 deals in a year and a half. That's crazy. Like, let's be real. I mean, I'm sure you get people asking you, how are you closing these deals? You've only been a realtor for a year. How are you going about this, right?
It's my top question. I get asked that a lot. That's why even now, like a moment ago, I was talking about how you can make a lot of money in 1 year, and then there could be a market shift or something happens, and then now your brain goes, can I do 26 again next year? Like, you know, that's automatic for me. Like, I'm very like, if I did 26 this year, I have to beat that next year. It's just that thing.
Yeah, because you mentioned leasing too. Like, are you diversifying into doing some leasing as well?
Right now, I'm doing both. The market made it really easy. You put a house on the market for lease, it's gone as fast as you want it to.
Yeah,
depending on if you like the tenant.
That is amazing. And actually, I think any realtors listening to this should really consider that point, because I've talked to some people, and when realtors come and say, oh yeah, you know, market shift, how do I find more leads? How do I find more people to do this? And then if I would suggest leasing, some people look at it as beneath them. It's like, oh, it doesn't pay enough. You've done 30 deals in a year and a half, and this line of work isn't beneath you?
Yeah.
That says something to character.
Don't let the ego become your enemy, right? Like, I think that's what every agent should really understand. There's a good side about real estate, but there's also some time where you do have to do things that you don't normally do.
Yeah, time's not always good.
Exactly. And just focus on what the market needs. Don't focus on what you want.
I agree. And the truth is, I'm a big believer in studying who is number 1 and number 2 and who the best guys in the world are. I did that for martial arts. That's why I travel to California all the time. I do this for pretty much everything. I'm constantly like listening to Grant Cardone a lot. He's, you know, clearly crushing it. I was listening. Ryan Serrant put out a video on his YouTube channel talking to realtors that said, how do you get through this time? He said in the video that he started a leasing division, and his company, Serrant, has never done that. They've never done any leasing. And all of a sudden now, he started a leasing division. And as soon as I heard that, you have to think, one of the number 1 real estate agents in the world are doing that. Why shouldn't I?
We listen to a lot of the same people. I think Gary Vee said something to the effect of, when you're doing business or when times are hard, you really have to think, who do you serve? Who is your client, right? And what are their needs? Fill those needs, right? So your investor clientele base. Leasing is definitely something they will need. Property management is something they will need.
So true.
There's so many things that people will need that people can diversify their line of work into, because sales have obviously declined for, I'm assuming assuming those 30 deals that you did were, largely in good times and when you were first starting out, not right now.
Yep, buying and selling. And I had to ask a lot of realtors when the market changed, when all of a sudden I'm doing open houses for my listings. I never had to do that before. You were holding offers.
Blind auction.
and you could sell it before
Yeah.
the holding offers if you wanted to. And I started asking realtors that have been in this for a very long time, is this normal now? I remember actually you said to me, I think you just got in at a very spoiled time. And I laughed. And I'm like, so true. I did get in at a spoiled time.
Check yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, check yourself, right? So now we're doing open houses, doing some PPC Google ads, some Facebook ads, and I sold a house the other day off of the open house. And in my mind, though, like, again, you have to humble yourself. You go there and I'm like, is anybody even going to show up? Like, this market's kind of quiet right now. Buyer came in, put an offer in.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we have multiple offers. But if I didn't do that open house, probably wouldn't have had those multiple offers.
Yeah. So you can't get demoralized during this.
Yeah. And I think that's like, you talked a second ago about ego, get my ass kicked in the gym, checks your ego.
Yeah.
It's the same thing I feel with business. You have to really see, like, where is everybody pivoting? Where is the market going? Check your ego and go to where the market is going.
Yeah.
Right now, I believe that, selling is selling to people that are downsizing, selling to people that are selling their property just to move to another property because sure, they're getting it less, still paying the interest rates higher. There's still a strong market. People do still have to buy and sell real estate. People are getting divorced. People are downsizing. People are retiring. There's still so much business out there. But to not add leasing to it right now, where you can do 2 to 3 leases a month and get 1 month's rent, why not?
The truth is a lower ticket item usually sells way quicker, right? So if you can like stack 3 of them, that's 1 commission.
If you're a realtor out there that, you do have a really bad month, but you do a lease for $3,000 because rent's really high right now, you made $3,000.
Obviously, right now, when people are looking at you, very successful life so far, right? The moment that you're running the gym marketing agency, which is the business that you did before the gym, pivot into TikTok. Now you have like over 500,000 followers, and then you start getting yourself into real estate, over 30 deals in the very first year. That all seems really successful, but let's talk quickly about the stress that comes.
Yeah, because it all sounds like it sounds too good, but the thing is that I'm sure there's stress in between.
What are the prices that you're paying for?
I don't mind sharing because I think it is important that there are a lot of realtors out there and there's a lot of people out there that are going to go through these experiences. And when you go through certain experiences, I think part of the problem is not knowing if it's normal. If you don't talk to people, you're constantly questioning, like, is this normal? Like, why am I feeling like this? I did go through some seriously stressful moments where I was exhausted. Like, I could sleep 24 hours, wake up, and still want to sleep again. I think the biggest thing was, like, at one point, my first year as a real estate agent, I had 8 deals closing in a span of 2 months. There was a lot of back and forth between all of these deals, making sure they closed. That's something that you know, as a new agent, you don't realize. The deal's not done when the deal is firm. The deal is done when the deal closes. Didn't really think of it like that. I was like, oh, we're firm, we're good. Doesn't mean the buyer's not going to back out or try to squeeze you later.
Yeah, that happened quite a bit recently.
Yeah.
Or some legal issues. When the market shifted, I had so many properties waiting to close. There was a lot of lawyers and a lot of buyers constantly coming back, trying to ask for money off, trying to say, oh, it didn't get appraised at the amount that it was supposed to anymore because of the market shift. And I'm like, why'd you do your appraisal so late? Whether they're lying to me or not, they're putting a lot of stress on. Some of them, oh, we're not going to close. And I had one deal that didn't close, led to a lot of stress.
Why wouldn't you, because I know some realtors, they have a tendency to look at that situation and just say, well, listen, that's a you problem. You can figure that out with the lawyers. Like, why is that on you?
I think the biggest thing for me, which was where I had to really hone in, was that I care so much about my clients and reputation and accomplishing the goal to make them happy that no matter what happened, I took it on as my problem. I still do that. I think that's why it was really bothering me a lot. I'm able to handle it better now because of the experience, because of going through all those things and seeing that and talking to the right people, obviously. When you're going through stressful times, I don't know if I'm the only one that does this, but sometimes when you're going through really stressful times, you just want to stay home and you don't want to talk to anybody about it. You want to deal with it yourself. It's like the manly thing or something.
You want to be quiet, in a quiet place where you can process things.
Yeah, but you need somebody to actually tell you, because it's the truth, is the worst thing to do. When you get out there and you actually do talk to people, it gets better. And I realized, I'm like, okay, I've been in my house for like 3 weeks. Like, I'm still doing real estate because I can do it from home. I'd go to a showing, I'd go home. I had to think to myself, scaling business is going to come with these stresses. It's inevitable. And again, I'm thinking to myself, how is Ryan Serrant doing what he's doing and other people doing what they're doing, looking so happy on camera all the time and so chipper all the time? They clearly have gone through all of this and have been dealing with all of this.
For sure.
And then you start to realize people that are, and I still have so far to go, but people that are at the top, they have coaches. They have like, they mentally study, they train themselves, they listen to video, they do those mindset things. Have a little routine in the morning, maybe go to the gym and just like get your brain ready. I wasn't doing those things. I was martial arts for like 10 years, every day, 2 to 3 times a day. That makes you move so much where you're tired all the time, you're physically healthy all the time, you're eating good all the time. And it's like I shut that off, like just like a faucet, shut it off to focus on real estate and business. So instead of doing healthy things like working out, eating good food, I was literally just selling real estate and focusing on business. And I realized that really messed me up upstairs. It was great, like making good money and everything, but what are you with, no health and you're making money, but your health is not good. You're tired, you're feeling lousy. The mindset wasn't there.
Slightly off balance.
Super. There's no sugarcoating it. Like it was really messing with me. I started listening to Tony Robbins. I started listening to some other people just to get some like mental coaching when I was going to bed and waking up in the morning to start my day. I was listening to one thing by Tony Robbins, which is crazy. You can get into that state by living in a box. You're constantly in your room. You're constantly in your house. You're in your car. You're always in a box. People that aren't depressed and aren't feeling tired in this way are constantly moving. So you need to move and you need to train your mind to, focus on certain things. The one thing he was saying was like, it's also mindset. If you put somebody behind a curtain that was depressed, you don't need to see him. I bet you could say what his body posture is like.
For sure, yeah.
Hunched down, tired, feeling like, just like sloped. I started listening to these things and I was like, man, this is so true. So I started focusing on moving. I started focusing on my body posture. He was basically saying that your body posture alone will trigger your confidence and your mindset. You start to study certain things that are going to help you. And I'm not lying, like this stuff helped me a lot to the point where now when somebody tells me they're stressed and they're going through a hard time, I actually send them the link to a few videos and I'm like, hey, trust me, just listen to this. Don't just listen, like don't just put it in your ear, like listen to it and see what happens.
Yeah, one of my coaches because like my wife is about to give birth to a baby, right? So we actually hired a coach as well, and she did mention that
Love it.
the way that you sit and the posture is really going to put you into a mental state where you might actually get depressed.
Yeah.
Right. So we were like really focusing on that to make sure that Joy feels okay.
That's why I'm such a big believer that no matter what you go through, if you have a mentor or a coach, just find one and they will help you. I did that with martial arts. I do it with real estate. I do it with YouTube. TikTok wasn't a fluke to grow those followers. I studied. I started learning. I know the algorithm.
Yeah, it just looks fun, but it was work.
When you do that research, like it would be like, jumping into a real estate deal with knowing nothing. You're gonna have some failures. And if you think you're not, you're crazy. So it's like, get somebody to mentor you. Those things help.
It is good to hear you say those things because people often look at other people who have attained a degree of success and they always ask the question, how do they do it? And you're reflecting a lot of things like openness to mentorship. You're reflecting a mindset. You're reflecting an understanding of the relationship between your work and your mental health. Sometimes when people talk about work-life balance, I think people misunderstand it to literally work life is a separate thing, right? But they're both kind of the same thing and they tie into each other. And I think what people really mean when they say work-life balance is take care of your body, take care of your mind.
Yeah.
And then, your work becomes manageable, right? Because work is hard, right? It's in the word. But I think you're really demonstrating a good relationship between these things and what leads to your success and your ability to adapt in these situations.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to do. Every time I hit like a peak or a plateau per se, I try to start to study, okay, who broke that, who beat that, who's there right now doing what I want to do, and how can I dissect them? Now you use social media. I can go online and research anybody and see what their marketing is like and see what they're doing, what's their day like. It's everything's really out there now.
And that's also how people are connecting now too, right? Because they're connecting all through social media and they're even using this to connect with people who can offer mentorship, right? Whether it's formal mentorship, because there's a negative stigma to words coaching and mentorship. People think, oh yeah, they're just going to, tell you some very high level stuff that you can't use But the thing is that people, I think especially people who are doing it, they actually make the best mentees. They are the people who could truly use mentorship because they can ask intelligent questions. I've noticed even when people come to us and ask questions in general and they don't know anything at all and they're not doing it, is that their questions are all over the place, not directed. They don't know what to ask and what challenges they face. But if you come in with intelligent questions because you've done a little bit of your own research first, some people go to coaches and they're lazy. They don't do any research. They don't look at their own things. And then they just like, teach me so I know so that my journey is easier. But you have to come in with the right questions in order for it to be effective. It's not all on the coach. It's on you too.
It's so true.
Right?
And you got to do your research to find the right coach and not be afraid to spend money. And I think that's where a lot of real estate agents, again, struggle. Like, you know, you go make a $20,000 commission check and you use that to go buy a car, nice clothes and things like this.
Wrong priority.
20 grand is a good commission check. Why can't you spend 30, 40% back into marketing to get 3 more deals with that now?
Yeah.
And when I see that type of thing, it's like, you know, you pay attention to how people are operating their business and how they're managing their business. And
I think you have almost an unfair advantage with the perspective that you have in that, you know, that money, that commission that you're making. A lot of people think about how do I save. Realtors make this commission and then they think, how do I save this commission so that I can live off of it for the next year? As if though that commission is going to be the last one they're ever going to make. Instead of thinking, wow, I made this money. I'm going to invest this back into myself, into my business so that I can do more of these.
Yeah.
Right. It's a fear factor. It's hard when you sweat and you grind and you earn that money. It's really hard to part from it.
You want to coddle it.
Yeah.
Hold on to it.
One thing I want to point out though, because for a lot of people, this is something that's really good on your end. This is a high income skill that a lot of people actually don't have, which is exactly what you mentioned. Every time that you hit a plateau, you will study other people and you will do an audit on yourself, right? This is a really high income skill that a lot of people are not aware of. They just think about, okay, there's multiple different ways I need to get in, but they're not looking at themselves and being honest with them about how is my day structured every single day? How am I moving my body? How do I control my energy, my time, my income, the investment on myself? And you pretty much hit all those points.
Yeah, and it's so true. And if there's anything that I can add to that I think helps big time, is when you are looking for a coach, don't just do research, like research the coach. But I found the biggest thing for me was always trying to find somebody that's most relatable to me. So if you look at my martial arts instructor, he's literally the same size as me. Did that for a reason, because if he's moving his body that way and mine is very similar to his, then I should be able to move mine like him. I study Ryan Serrant a lot. No secret about this. He was an actor before he was a real estate agent. He used his acting to put into the social media to grow his real estate. I'm doing the same thing. I'm not at that level. My goal is to get at that level. For me, it's one thing I don't mind saying these things because I think you have to believe it. But my whole point is that if you're looking for a coach, somebody to mentor you, like I have a YouTube coach. I have people that are helping me on TikTok that are paying attention to my stuff. Every person that I've chosen is relatable to me in some sort of way. So that way I can not just kind of mimic them and see what they're doing, but pay attention to how they did it. And if you're relatable to them, there's so many coaches out there. You can find one that's relatable to you. And when you find that one that's relatable to you, they say, hey, this is what it costs. If they're doing it and they're providing good value and this is it, see what your return on investment is. You're not paying anything. You're making money.
One thing that I do want to point out is that you have actually been making yourself very coachable as well. Right, the moment that we started working together on the real estate investing side and even the sales side, you're taking everything that you. 100%. There was no resistance, so that was really good.
No, and I learned so much, and that's when I started doing the leasing with you guys. That opened so many doors. I was learning a lot. I was getting to go to houses to see them, getting experience, not being licensed at that time, showing properties around, seeing if I really liked this before I got my license, and working with like-minded individuals that don't want to stunt your growth is massive. People that are like, want to see you win, and everybody has a different, same goal, but different, similar goal. Everybody's working towards something. That excites me, man. You need this.
All right, Daniel, we're going to start wrapping things up, but I just want to say that it is actually very inspiring to hear your story, especially how you relate it to your mindset, to the pains, to the hardships that you had to go through, and that is all not just tons of deals, great money, and, lots of success, that there's a lot of things that go into it behind the scenes. So if anybody wants to reach out to you because, they feel that you can maybe help them or they want to connect with you, or somebody's looking for a realtor to help them out, what area do you cover?
Burlington, Oakville, Hamilton, all that surrounding area. Pretty much I'm in Burlington. I like to be in the middle because I can go both directions. as long as I can get to you within a 45-minute hour drive.
And what's the
From
best way for
Burlington.
them to contact you? Instagram or Gmail?
Yeah, I would say Instagram for sure. It's
Okay.
underscore Daniel Hale underscore.
All right,
but
perfect. We're
you'll
going to
be
make
able
sure
to
that we
find it.
leave it in the description so that if anyone wants to connect with you, they can connect with you. But in the
Cool.
meantime, guys, we are going to wrap it up. So we do hope you enjoyed listening to our show today. If you have any questions for Daniel, make sure to reach out to him. Otherwise, if you have any questions for us or want to be on the show, make sure to connect with us as well, and we'd love to chat. As always, make sure to like this video, subscribe, or leave us a review, and we will see you on the next one.